All right, who you got next on it?
Memphis at Mississippi State. I don't know if we should we
Oh.
go into this game. I bring some bad memories.
Well, cousin Shane, he has a specific question for you right off the bat. Any idea who's going to be the damn referee in this one? Because he's still mad about last year.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think the good news is for Mississippi State is Calvin Austin now catches passes in the NFL for the Steelers. He's not on special teams. He's not catching any more passes for Memphis. And what's funny is you go back and look at last year's box score, and you're just, it's so one-sided in favor of Mississippi State. And you're like, how in the heck did they lose this game? And of course, it's turnover that results in a touchdown, a questionable, to put it mildly, special teams play at the end of the game. But I think for Memphis, you look at this team. Seth Hennigan, the quarterback, is probably the player to know here. Calvin Austin, of course, is off to the NFL, but Hennigan was really good last year as a true freshman, one of the better quarterbacks in that conference. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have some turnover at the receiver spot as they try to build around Hennigan. They also have a new defensive coordinator too, Matt Barnes, who was the interim defensive coordinator at Ohio State last year. So I feel confident in saying that Memphis will get Mississippi State's best shot based upon what happened last year. And keep in mind, Will Rogers threw for over 400 yards against them last year. So with some of the questions coming into the year for Memphis on defense, I think that spells good things for Rogers on Saturday.
I'm glad you mentioned Hennigan because I got him written down here. It looks like he was a Football Writers Association freshman All American team. You mentioned him, but what kind of, what's his style? Is he a dual threat? Is he a big arm quarterback? What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, I think as we go forward, when you look at Memphis offensively this year, they hired Tim Cramsey, who was the offensive coordinator at Marshall, and a very pass first kind of style on offense. So I think Hennigan fits well into that. And they of course they lost Calvin Austin. They're not really hurting for like athleticism and talent at receiver that they can kind of plug and play. I think the question is whether or not they have a true go-to guy this year, like they had with Austin last season. So I think to answer your question, like Hennigan, much more kind of pocket oriented. The potential to have a better season as a sophomore than he did as a freshman. I look at him as one of the rising stars of the American Athletic Conference.
And how does Memphis defense stack up against Mike Leach's offense there? Defending the pass will be critical, obviously, but getting to that quarterback, any chance that Mississippi State breaking in two offensive tackles, any chance, there could be some disruptive pass rush from Memphis?
Yeah, I think the concern I think I would have if I'm Mississippi State is the new coordinator. Like, not to mention not only new coordinator, you have new pieces on your offensive line too. So I think you're trying to break in all these new pieces and you don't really know what the coordinator is going to do because Matt Barnes was an interim coordinator last year at Ohio State and he was, sort of just picking up the torch from where they were, not really sure what that means on a full-time basis. Will we see the same thing that he did at Ohio State, or will we see something different? From a schematic standpoint, Mike McIntyre was the defensive coordinator there last year, so they've used three man. They've mixed it up. I think if I'm Mississippi State, I feel good about the matchup in the secondary. Quindell Johnson, Memphis's safety, is one of the better defenders in the American Athletic Conference. But they didn't have too many players on our American Athletic All Conference team in the preseason. So if I'm Will Rogers and I'm Mike Leach, I think I feel good about my chances on Saturday.